And on today's show, structured settlement opportunities. Part 3 of this week's series on defined benefit terminations and structured settlements with industry expert Steve Pilger. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Innsmouth. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to day 3, Steve.
Hello, Steve. Here we are.
Are you surviving?
Absolutely. Tough day. I
got to tell you, you're introducing us into a market that I think most of our advisors have not seen, don't know about. Yesterday we talked about some of the product solutions which are not securities, so that's a good call.
Correct.
That means everybody that's watching us more than likely has access to that via their license. Today I want to talk about these opportunities because now that I've seen what we've talked about, and again, if you've missed any part of our show, you need to hop back out to our site, down to business.ashbrokerage.com, and see the Monday, Tuesday show, because I think it'll really help you in your tutorial experience, building a kind of a foundation on how we're thinking and talking about this. This is a huge opportunity, and I want to talk about this at first because I want to see what can I introduce our advisors to? What kind of ideas are we talking about when we're talking about, here's an opportunity? Well, give me your first one, Steve.
Yeah, the structured settlements, I think that the best way that I've found to get into that opportunity is in the normal course of what we're working with our clients on. The core types of businesses, the types of things that come up from day to day, week to week, month to month. There are situations that an advisor will encounter where they need something that's a little off the beaten path. And structured settlement annuities, in my opinion, is one of those where 15 years ago, there was much more a marketplace, at least what was being marketed to us in the business for structured settlements. But especially in the last several years, we've had situations where companies have exited the marketplace. So largely when a structured settlement opportunity, so in other words, just brief recap, is an agreement between two parties where there is a lump sum paid from one party to the other, and now within a structure, within a contractual agreement, that lump sum is paid in periodic installments to the second party. Well, there are unique products and carriers within that marketplace that will do that, and it's all based on a law that was put in place back in 1982.
Well, walk me through this. Okay, I'm ready to be an advisor. I see this, that I have an opportunity to sell settlement annuities. And it's not secondary market settlement annuities, right? This is first generation.
This is.
All right, so walk me through your cycle of sale here.
Four pieces to the puzzle here as we kind of go clockwise. The claimant, which in most cases is the injured party, it is now represented by counsel that there's now going to be some settlement, some agreement reached with the defendant, the aggrieving party here, from the standpoint of the promise to make this payment to the claimant, but again, within the structure and the key that we'll get to in a moment, having to do with how those payments are going to be received by the claimant. There's a couple of steps that need to be added into the mix. The first step in there is once the agreement is made, is an assignment company comes into play where that lump sum is actually being paid to by the defendant.
Now, is that bidded out, Steve?
It is bidded out.
Oh, so if I'm a claimant, I've been injured, I'm now receiving future periodic I already have this coming, and it's from a quality carrier generally, right?
It is. Highly rated carriers.
So no issues there.
Top drawer, and it is bidded, and that is a key component. I'm glad you brought that up, because from the standpoint that, again, in order to satisfy, in most cases, a judge or mediator who's involved in this negotiation between the two parties, they want to make sure that the best deal available is being put in place here as the mechanism for the structured settlement.
Now, I think you told me in the earlier show on Monday that the structured settlements, this is a very small amount of brokers that are playing in this. This isn't like thousands of people. I think it's less than what?
Less than 500.
Less than 500.
Published reports are less than 500 structured settlements.
Okay, so we're going to now that we have our future payment, now we're going to bid that out to see what lump sum, who's going to pay us the most lump sum.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, from that standpoint, so once an agreement, we have kind of the format around the agreement is the bidding process takes place as far as who's going to ultimately issue that contract and provide the payouts. The assignment company essentially is the holder of the asset. Once the agreement's put in place, it's now going to be a structure. Once the bidding process is completed, the insurance company and the annuity contract is selected for that use. It's then applied for by the assignment company. And by the way, assignment companies generally are affiliates or have some subsidiary relationship with an insurance carrier. But it's a third party. There's no constructive receipt, which is a key. I'm not going to get too legalese on it, but from the standpoint that we don't want the money going to the wrong place because of the tax implications on those payouts. And then ultimately, the insurance carrier, once that annuity contract is issued, then they are responsible for providing those systematic payments to the claimant over the course of whatever period of time was negotiated in the settlement.
So when we walk through a kind of this basic idea, the basic fundamental of this cycle, when I'm looking at as an advisor, and I say I like this, I'd like to get into this. How do I enter into that? It seems like there's not really a clear gate to walk through.
You may be surprised. There probably is. It's just if we're not looking in the right places, maybe asking the right question, whether it's an oh by the way type of scenario, or maybe we have a relationship with an attorney in the town where we have our practice, or we have a client who maybe had a situation where now, again, in the normal course of what we're doing as an advisor for our clientele, is that light bulb goes off and it's like, that sounds like or smells like a structured settlement. That's where a lot of these cases come up. And again, it's not just the big mass tort type situations that come up. A lot of it is just your day-to-day small town America situation where somebody was injured, there was a settlement reached. Now how do we best provide that payment stream to the injured party?
I'd really like us to think about, maybe we'll do a workshop on this, because it sounds right to me, to maybe even do a workshop on how to really approach attorneys who actually work in the settlement market. I think that'd be huge. We come back from the break, we're going to talk about some of the common uses of structured settlement annuities and give you kind of an insight on how we think you could play on that space right after the break. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to the second segment. We're going to talk a little bit about common uses now. Walk me through this quick list here that we can really introduce our advisors to some of the ways we can play with this.
Yeah, the common applications for structured settlement include disabled individuals, minor children. Commonly, it is a use for structured settlement where maybe there was a lump sum distribution that, again, maybe to put aside for the child's education, future needs in the case of special needs children or adults, for ongoing care, things that they might need over time, where in the old days where maybe just a lump sum was paid, now it was on the injured party to make sure they didn't run out of money. Now with these structured settlement arrangements there will be money coming in to use some of these different, for some of these different needs. Wrongful death and severe injury and workplace compensation was an area that came into being a little bit more recently added into the standpoint of, again, injured on the job, company is paying an amount to the injured party and then using a structured settlement type arrangement to pay it out. Now, a couple others that I didn't put on here, just not to make it too cluttered, are some maybe uses beyond what's more kind of an obvious type of a use. But attorney fees, we see commonly used in structured settlements where maybe attorneys who are representing one or both parties in a structured situation, they set up their fee arrangement. Instead of being paid in lump sum for their services, they're paid out over a structured period of time. Construction defects. West Coast, just west of where we're sitting today, there's a lot of construction defects cases involving contractors and parties who maybe, they thought they were getting a home built the way it was supposed to be built. It didn't work out. Well, now sometimes judgments are being put into a structured settlement and paid out judgments. Well, here are some of the inventory of players on this. Now, there's a few in here that, they're big names, blue chip, been around forever, but there's some in here too that I didn't even know about this, that they were in this league. Right. American General, of course, Hancock, Midland, these are all players, Pacific Life, Pru, Mutual of Omaha, Liberty Mutual, Amica Life, that surprised me, and Berkshire Hathaway. You've heard of them, haven't you? I have, but I didn't know that they were into structured settlements. So, as I always say, if the guru of Omaha is involved, maybe I should be involved. And what you're seeing here again, all speaking towards that bidding process that we alluded to a couple of minutes ago, from the standpoint of making sure we're dealing with top-rated insurance carriers, and I think you could make the argument these are all highly rated, well-respected insurance carriers. These are big players who have a focus in this marketplace. So when we go through the bidding process and ultimately recommendations made to a mediator or a judge in a structured situation, the last thing you're going to have to make an excuse for is, well, the bids are coming from XYZ. These are
really
among
big
the best
names.
of the best.
I was a little surprised USAA is in this too.
They are an up-and-comer,
Wow.
a very financially strong, high-integrity company that is making inroads into this marketplace.
Let's talk a bit about the benefits. I am always looking at selling the contractual law, the pieces of the policy that have the provisions in it and micromanaging that. I mean, we already have to deal with attorneys on this. I don't want to go into it even deeper than that.
Yes, we do.
But let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits, because I think that's kind of where the game's played. Because why are we involved? Because here are the benefits.
Here's where the rubber meets
That's
the road,
right.
both from the claimant, from the injured party standpoint, and from the defendant standpoint. Some key benefits on why a structured settlement arrangement makes sense on both hands. From the claimant standpoint, obviously, the long-term financial security, getting away from, ooh, I've been hurt, I now have this lump sum of money, and I don't know what's around the corner or down the road for me. Is this money going to last? That piece of the puzzle is taken away from them because of the systematic payments. The tax implications. With the law changes in 1982, one of the key components, especially of what's called a qualified structured settlement, so personal injury, some of what we saw on a previous slide, is the income payments that are coming to the claimant are received federal and state income tax free. Whereas if it was a lump sum type of a payout,
Now, is somebody
that's a taxable
else
event.
paying those taxes then, or no? That's under the law, and
That's part of the law. Again, if within the IRS code you're meeting the requisite cause and effect of that qualified structured settlement, there's no tax on the part of the claimant from the standpoint of, I'm now getting this lifetime payout of this amount of money.
I'm kind of just curious, just as a sidebar issue. I mean, if you sold your tax-free benefit, right? You didn't want to you want a lump sum payout. Does the person who buys that from you, does he also receive a tax-free?
That's a different
story.
Different dynamic. Nice try.
Nice try,
yeah,
right. Sorry, Steve Savant is
all
always
right.
the
Hey,
Texas.
ask the question.
And talk about the defendant.
From the defendant's standpoint, again, from a liability standpoint, again, I've now injured you. I've now agreed to pay you a lump sum to settle the claim. I want to make sure that we're done, that situation is over and done with. So that agreement that we've put in place now is that not only are you taken care of, but now my liability is over. I've taken care of it with that lump sum payment. But here again now, from a tax standpoint, is again within the IRS code, is the fact, because this qualified as a structured settlement payout, I now receive current year tax deductibility for the lump sum that I've paid.
This is a huge opportunity for us as advisors to actually stretch ourselves a little bit and go into a whole nother market that actually plays to our wheelhouse product knowledge of annuities. I think this is a huge idea. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas you hear on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just hop out to our site, downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com, and you can check all of our past shows in our archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.